Thank you, Your Excellencies and panelists. That panel was rather informative. The potential in the UAE is immense. And I believe with the proper investment in research and development and addressing the challenges that have been mentioned, the UAE can position itself as a leader in innovation and technology, as well as maintaining its position in a matter of competitiveness in a global market for years to come. We have noticed that in the UAE, there is a unique opportunity to not only boost local manufacturing, but also make it a hub for global trade. By investing in local manufacturing, the Emiratis can create jobs, reduce its reliance on imports, and increase its economic independence. This will allow local manufacturers to respond to changes in demand efficiently as they are closer to their clients and have a better understanding of the local market. And that is a brief about our upcoming panel. Let's welcome to the stage our moderator, Mr. Naif Shaheen, Director of the Innovation and Knowledge at Abu Dhabi Department of Economic Development. And our esteemed panelists, His Excellency Dr. Thani Ziyudi, Minister of State for Foreign Trade. His Excellency Ahmed Al-Zaabi, Chairman of Abu Dhabi's Department of Economic Development. And His Excellency Umar Al-Suwaidi, Under-Secretary of the Ministry of Industry and Advanced Technology.
Good morning, Your Excellencies, and welcome to our second panel of the day. The UAE has a lot to offer the industrial sector in terms of value proposition. The country has spent a lot in developing the infrastructure from state-of-the-art airports, ports, and as well as road networks. The UAE has also established free zones that offer a business-friendly environment and tax incentives to industrial enterprises. And of course, we can't forget the strategic position of the UAE that made it as a hub for industrial companies. In short, I think the UAE offers a lot of value proposition to the industrial sector. Your Excellency, Dr. Thani, can you tell us a little bit more about what the ministry has been doing to attract FDI, and how is that important to the Make It in the Emirates initiative and the UAE's wider economic diversification agenda?
Let me start by thanking His Excellency Dr. Sultan Al-Jaber and his team for arranging this forum and congratulating everyone for the successful outcomes that we had in the last 12 months. The UAE re-engineered their vision for the upcoming 50 years, and we're going to focus on three main elements when it comes to human capital, the financial attractions and the capital attractions to the nations, as well as the technological attraction to the country. And based on that, we heard many of the speeches of our colleagues and ministers speaking about the reform that we have done in the laws and regulations, a huge revamp in the immigration and residency system, and at the same time, the ecosystem that we built around attracting those companies and industry to the nation. We always ask ourselves questions. Those investors and industrial companies, what do they want? They want few factors. First one is the connectivity, which we do have. The connectivity is, it's not only within the governments and the state-of-art infrastructure that we have, but also the connectivity to the world, where we're connected to more than 400 points around the world through our ports or the airlines that we're growing globally. Second point is the availability of the resources. Resources when it comes to natural gas, the electricity, and the sustainability of the prices, which is not disturbed to any business developer here. I want to mention something here which is very critical. Moving forward, the industrial sector is going to look after the sustainability. And because of us, as host of the COP28, we want to show the lead. And I can assure you that the trades and any manufacturing products from the UAE is the most sustainable products in the world. Basically because we do have very sustainable power supply, but also because of the practices that we have in the UAE. So when it comes to sustainability, we're already fulfilling most of the ESG criteria that the investors would like to have. Third one, which is the market access. Our conventional market access is around 440 million populations, which is the MENA region. That's our conventional market. But in the last 2 years, we start opening aggressively the market, and we added 1.6 billion population market access to the new industry. Yes, we might not accommodate some of the requests, but it's going to be part of the review that we're going to do as part of our comprehensive economic partnership agreements that we sign. The fourth one, which is a critical element, is the capital and the financial aspects, which we're providing in the federal level through the Emirates Development Bank. We saw some of the announcements earlier. The banks and the financial institutions are jumping into this direction. And at the same time, the credit insurance, which we're supporting the exporters and the manufacturers who would like to go globally from the UAE. I'm not undermining the local Emirates efforts. I'll keep it to our colleagues to highlight their efforts, but we're complementing and working together on that sphere. When it comes to the FDI, we launched a few initiatives. The initiatives is how to provide the ecosystem and how can we be transparent and direct communication with the private sector. And we did this through many of the initiatives. Our colleagues at the Ministry of Industry is leading the way, and we at the Ministry of Economy, we're complementing that with the other non-industrial attraction of investments. So when they come here, they see two directions. Either they can come here and expand their operation, or the ones which are available in the country and they want to penetrate bigger markets and they want to bring more technology so they can have an efficiency. We launched a next-gen FDI initiative last year. We managed to bring many of the advanced technology companies and factories to the UAE. They're going to grow from the UAE. Some of them is going to play a major role in transforming the food security, the financial services, the AI companies, and the sectors here in the UAE. So we're looking forward to work with everyone. And again, we're at the Ministry of Economy and the Trade in particular, very keen in having this frank and direct dialogue with the private sector.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Having heard about the foreign trade agenda and the role of the ministry, I would like to move to the Abu Dhabi Department of Economic Development, who's had many accomplishments elevating the Abu Dhabi's industrial agenda. We have the Industrial Development Bureau, and you have Abu Dhabi's very own industrial agenda. Your Excellency Ahmed, can you please tell us more about the industrial strategy and how does it work and how does it help achieve the value proposition we're talking about?
Thank you, Naif. I think before I start with the industrial strategy, I think I need to talk about Abu Dhabi's economy success and what are the bedrock of and the foundation of the success of Abu Dhabi economy. There's been a continuous evolution, diversification of the Abu Dhabi economy, built on partnerships, sustainable growth, built on fundamentals of economics, whether it's fiscal policy or managing parts of the monetary policy, and safety and political stability. That's very important in terms of investments in industries and in terms of attracting FDIs. Now, Abu Dhabi contributes to 60% of the total GDP of the UAE in 2022. The industrial sector today rose by approximately 10% to reach 90 billion this year, contributing to 8% of the total GDP of Abu Dhabi and 16% of the total GDP of non-oil GDP in Abu Dhabi. Now, as part of the evolution and diversification of the economy of Abu Dhabi, and specifically the industrial part of the economy, Abu Dhabi is going to continue doubling down its effort in expanding and enhancing the competitiveness of its industrial sector and have it as a destination for industrial investments. So the Abu Dhabi industrial strategy that we've introduced recently is a 10 billion dirham strategy that aims to double the sector size to around 170 billion dirhams. This will create 13,600 jobs, new jobs, I may say, and increase the Emirates' non-oil export to 178 billion dirhams by the year 2031 through 6 transformational projects or programs. We're doing a lot of things in terms of helping in access of financing, ease of doing business, enhancing competitiveness, and attract foreign direct investments. So in the year 2022, the Industrial Development Bureau launched the Industrial Land Rebate Incentive Program to incentivize land use for new manufacturers in high priority sectors to drive industrial growth. Now, those incentives will be offered at the rates of as low as 5 dirhams per square meter. There's a lot of initiatives that we'll be doing. One of the major initiatives is the electricity tariff incentive program. We're also exploring other programs within the Industrial Development Bureau and the Department of Economic Development. One of the successes of the ETIP, or the electricity tariff incentive program, is it helped manufacturers increase their productivity by 6%. And that's very important for us to continue to push that productivity higher within our economy, because that's the only way we can compete globally and we can increase our exports going forward. Of course, that increase of 6% in productivity helped companies' revenues to increase by around 27% between 2021 and 2022. Now, we also need to think hard about technology. Having said all of that, we also need to be responsible when it comes to consumption of energy, and we need to have an energy management system that is actually help us to be competitive. But this will also help us on the path of enhancing our value chain and transform our industries towards an industry 4.0, and hence why we're launching several investment opportunities through different programs. Within the food sector, there's a 1 billion program that we've introduced, and several other programs. So that's going to continue. We're going to continue pushing even further going forward. So, all in all, what's our vision going forward? We still want to become a world-class center that ignites innovation and enhances our manufacturing through smart manufacturing transformations. And today we're pleased to announce the Smart Manufacturing Incentive Program. It's a 500 million program, and the Competitiveness Center to support the transformation to 4.0 technologies and help manufacturers in their digitization journey, regardless of where they are on the maturity level. So that's not going to be the last program we're going to introduce. We're going to be introducing more going forward, but the objective is clear. We want to double down on industry. We want to double down on manufacturing. We want to double down on pushing our manufacturers to a 4.0 technology level, and being as productive as we can be to compete globally and start exporting even more. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. When it comes to to implementing the strategy, have you considered looking at partnerships at the private or the public level?
We've recently partnered with different players within the industry, and most of them are pillars within the industry. We've partnered with Abu Dhabi Ports, we've partnered with Tawazun, we've partnered with ADNOC Wتعزيز to collaborate and execute the Abu Dhabi industrial strategy, and to accelerate the manufacturing value chain and develop the Emirates investment zones, of course. We also collaborated with Moyat to develop the Industrial Technology Transformation Index. But I'll always go back to ADNOC. I'll always give an example on ADNOC. I think a lot of you know my affinity to a great organization like ADNOC. So let me give an example. So if we take ADNOC as an example, through the contracts with the private sector, they've helped establish or expand more than 70 manufacturing facilities through several industrial zones since 2001, of which 50 are located in Abu Dhabi. In Abu Dhabi Port Industrial Zone alone, more than 130 companies, of which nearly 50 manufacturers are ADNOC suppliers, producing locally for ADNOC product in all product requirements that is needed within ADNOC. These products, of course, can be considered as non-oil exports. As you know, also ADNOC has recently expanded into sustainable innovation and low carbon solutions, which is to our benefit as Abu Dhabi and the UAE and the Department of Economic Development when it comes to the vision of our leadership in terms of decarbonization. And I think it's only fitting when it comes to the year sustainability. This will all feed into our targets, into our objectives and goals when it comes to expanding that non-oil GDP and moving and transitioning the country and the nation from an oil predominantly GDP-based economy to inshallah in the future to a non-oil predominantly dominated economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, Omar, the ministry has been one of the key partners behind the Make It in the Emirate initiatives. How has the industrial sector evolved as a result of the ministry's efforts to create value for their stakeholders?
Thank you, Naif. As we've heard earlier from both Their Excellencies, Minister Dr. Sultan and Minister Sarah, we at the Ministry of Industry and Advanced Technology have been on this journey for the last 2.5 years to create the ecosystem, the enablers, and most importantly, the opportunities, working with all of our partners and our stakeholders, whether through the government or through the private sector, to stimulate that industrial growth. Dr. Sultan shared some of these initiatives and the outcomes of these efforts. The numbers, the announcements are quite impressive, so I'd like to reiterate some of these announcements and some of these numbers. And as I've said, since the ministry's establishment, we've been working on a number of initiatives, mainly to serve the industrial strategy Operation 300 billion. And the main purpose is to improve on the UAE's value proposition. Of course, we're doing this to support the local content, creating value, enabling national industries. We're focusing, and we're doing that by identifying priority sectors based on resilience and self-sufficiency criteria. We're also looking at criteria that have to do with our competitive advantages and global industrial priorities. And most importantly, linking supply with demand, locally and internationally. Of course, the in-country value program has been growing at a fast pace at a national level, and it has been a key value creation lever for us for this strategy. Today's announcements at this forum are a testimony on how local industries are evolving and thriving and developing. As you've heard earlier today, coming off the first forum last year, there was a commitment of 110 billion dirhams for 300 products to be procured nationally over the next 10 years. And as I've said earlier, the supply-demand matching really accelerated the implementation of these offtake agreements, reaching 28% of the 10-year target in the first year, hitting a value of 31 billion dirhams. This would not have happened without the clear and expedited commitments from our national champions and also our local industrial private sectors. Some of these offtakes have resulted in the establishment of new manufacturing facilities. And of course, you'll hear about them today as the day goes on. In addition, you've also heard that there is an additional 10 billion of offtake commitments from national champions such as ADNOC, Ittihad, Pure Health, and Edge. And they're going to be available in the next going through the details of these opportunities throughout the next 2 days. We've heard also about ADNOC ring fencing, about 20 billion worth of steel fabrications for local production. And we'd like to thank again the two newcomers in terms of financial solutions, FAB and Mashrak Bank, with 6 billion dirhams in new financing solutions. Of course, that adds to the effort, the great effort that's being done by the Emirates Development Bank and ECI. We will also have a 600 million dirham announcement for a multinational company today that will commit for its global procurement needs to UAE manufacturers, emphasizing the global interest in UAE products made here in UAE. These are just a few examples of the opportunities that Ministry of Industry and Advanced Technology and our national partners and the private sectors identify, stimulate, and enable for the private sector to contribute to achieving our industrial strategy objectives.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Heading back to you, Your Excellency, Dr. Thani. In terms of the foreign trade agenda, in particular, you spoke about the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement program. Can you tell us a little bit more? How does that help attract FDI, and what is this, just briefly?
Well, the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreements brings so many features to the nations. First of all, the removing all trade barriers when it comes to custom fees, the non-trade barriers when it comes to the standards, the paperwork needs, so that is reducing the time of waiting on the borders before getting to those markets. Second one, which I mentioned already, we already now having a market access of 2.2 billion population, which gives the companies and the factories here to have that huge market access, which is considered almost more than a quarter of the global population. The third one, which is very critical as well, it brings more productivity to the way that we're running things, and at the same time ensuring that all people who are living in the country are going to have a market access. It's not limited to the UAE national. It's applicable to all business people who are living in the country and would like to do businesses with those nations. So far, we're having access to almost more than 10% of the global GDP from what we signed so far, and we're going to continue having more agreements soon with many countries and before the end of this year. You might notice that we're focusing on the countries which are going to have a huge growth. Huge growth means huge demand for most of the commodities that we're producing, and at the same time we're opening new doors for the service sector that we're having in the country. So the features are varied. What we want from the manufacturers that they see the details of the agreements. We'll be more than happy to go through those details with whoever would like to get access to those informations. It's already publicly available, but we're ready as well to go through them and explain what are the right process. The last one, which I want to mention, previously, and we saw this in the last year and a half now, many of the factories just building their business model based on the GCC size. And with the competition which is happening in the region, we start having the same models replicated in our neighbors, which means that their market access or market share is going to be smaller and smaller. After signing the CPAs, many of them say, thank you so much, we don't need the GCC market anymore. Now we're going to go abroad. We're going to double our presence here. And they're going to bring more technology to improve the efficiency of their existing assets and factories. So those are some of the features. What we promise everyone that we're going to conclude another 4 to 6 agreements before the end of the year, and that's going to give us market access to new emerging economies, which will bring more opportunities for our factories and business people.
Unfortunately, our time is up. I'd like to thank Your Excellencies for taking the time to be with us today and to share your insights. And it's been an absolute pleasure for me to be a moderator for this. Thank you again.